Day in the Matrix, waters above crypto. I'm sending you all love and high vibrations. I know some of you out there need it. At this time, more than ever, we have to tap into that higher vibrational frequency while the world is being programmed with fear. Go within and stay balanced, focus on what brings you bliss, and be grateful for everything you already have. Whatever is going on in the world around you is luring in your attention, and it feeds off your fear. Don't let them take your energy. Remember, I told you that. In today's video, I'm going to start out with a Gematria decode, breaking down the significance of today and how it ties into my last video I released, decoding the United States Pluto's return. Then I'll cover the charts of Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP to follow up on the recent price action, and what are the most likely scenarios to play out over the rest of the week. And just a little reminder, I've decided to run a sale for my courses until the end of this month before I release my upcoming exit strategy blueprint in early March, which will be included in my mastermind course. So if you're interested, I'll be sharing more information about that sale in a couple moments. So if you're new here, we do cryptocurrency technical analysis and combine it with Gematria Numerology and Astrology to understand these markets. Feel free to subscribe and turn on the bell notification to stay updated on when new videos come out, and make sure to give this video a like and share this channel with other conscious beings to help grow this community. And as you heard a little bit ago, I'm currently running a sale for both of my courses until the end of this month for my mastermind course and the advanced trading course. So for those of you that want to learn how to do technical analysis and combine it with Gematria or learn my trading strategies, there will be a link in the description box of this video and in the pinned comment below to my website, watersabovecrypto.com/redpill2022. And that link already has the discount automatically added to the price, so there's no promo code needed at checkout. All you'll need is the link below, and you'll be able to get access to my courses while they're on sale until the end of this month. I greatly appreciate all of your support. And with that being said, let's take the red pill. So some of you might have watched my last video that I released where I was discussing the bigger connection between this recent Pluto's return and some of these numbers such as 55, and I just want to quickly show you how this day today is the 55th day of the year. So this was something significant to pay attention to. We could see February 24th being the 55th day, and some of you might be brand new to my work. I did have an interview yesterday with 3T Warriors research team, so I'm sending lots of love over to the 3T Warrior Academy and everyone that tuned into that. If you're new here, much love. So with that being said, let's kick off this decode. One of the most important numbers that I've been sharing this whole year so far has been this number 55. And here we are, it's the 55th day. And I just want to show you really quickly where I was getting this number from, one of which was Pluto's return, giving us that 55, and that was a couple days ago on February 22nd. And these 55 connections were tying back to Satoshi Nakamoto, again with this 55, and then we have Queen Elizabeth being that 55 in Chaldean, also Platinum Jubilee. And you could see that 55 in Chaldean. And Platinum Jubilee is the 70th anniversary of the Queen Elizabeth being the queen. And of course, this is all happening around Shemitah, which is this current time frame, the sabbatical year cycle. And I've been speaking about that a lot on my channel, but definitely go watch my last video if you haven't yet, because I was tying in all of these key important numbers to Kanye West and his recent album called Donda 2. And people were confused as to like why I was going over this guy, and I was trying to explain to people that if you watched his last 3 listening events for his recent album, that his last album that came out, Donda 1, this album had so much symbolism in it. And these elites, they give us all the truth in plain sight. They give us the symbolism within their art. It's an incredible thing. Once you become a decoder, you could use this exoteric symbology and apply it with the knowledge and the base foundational understanding you have to decode it. So again, I was telling everyone to pay attention to this guy because I knew that his listening event, which happened on Pluto's return, would give us a lot of clues into what's to come on the world stage. And I'll have a full-blown decode for that most likely. It'll be a shorter decode, but the number connections here are plain and obvious. We have Platinum Jubilee giving us that 55. That happened on February 6th, which was near the start of the Year of the Tiger, Chinese New Year. And if you see right here, we have Pluto's return giving us that 55, and then you have Kanye West, Donda 2, giving us that 55, and it was in the same ciphers. Okay, so this is very important. This is all coded in. Okay, so it's very important that this Kanye listening event was taken seriously, because if you watch the first 3 events that he had on the last album, it was filled with symbolism. The recent one showed us the flooding, military being everywhere, basically military occupation or something we call martial law. And then you can see the eclipse, and I'll show you really quick this eclipse symbology right there. And then it ended with the sun exploding. Okay, so this is all symbology, and I've told many people to go watch the music video from Kanye West called Heaven and Hell, and Heaven and Hell had actually the amazing symbology of showing us bodies being lifted into the sky, and then the ending of that music video showed a war on Earth. It was really filled with a lot of esoteric, and it's something that I would love to talk about more with other decoders. But with that being said, of course, we have Heaven and Hell as the 111, and that ties back to New York. And we've made some other connections here in the past regarding this guy Kanye and his role and how he's being used. These high-level celebrities are being used and showing us the truth of what's to come in plain sight. Again, go watch his last listening event on Pluto's return. You'll see the flooding, martial law, the eclipse leading to the sun starting to glow, almost like the sun is starting to combust, and then the show finishes with the sun exploding. Okay, so again, we are on the 55th day of the year, and I just showed you all those 55 connections, and the markets today are getting hit off of geopolitical news between Russia and Ukraine, the Russia and Ukraine conflict, or we could call it the Russia and Ukraine war. And I'm just going to show you a little bit of the code here. So Russia-Ukraine war giving us that 47. 47 is the 15th prime number, another number I've been talking quite a bit about this year, because 15 comes back to the tiger. And again, we are in the Year of the Tiger. The Chinese New Year started on February 1st, and we are on the 24th day of this year. So pay attention to this code. I showed you Russia-Ukraine war equals 47, which gives us the 15th prime number. In the Year of the Tiger, 15 comes back to the tiger. And then we have Ukraine giving us that 22, like we're in the Hebrew year. 5782, which reduces down to 22, the Shemitah year, and we're in the 22nd year of the 21st century. Again, the year 222, if you remove the 0 and you use the rules of numerology. Okay, so this is very important because Russia also gives us that 24, and Russia 24 because today is the 24th day since the Chinese New Year. And we know that this would also be 2 days after the date 222, February 22nd, Pluto's return. So this is still following all those twos. And if you go back to the last eclipse we had, and I believe the eclipses play everything into what's going on here in the world stage as for the rituals that are done. And you could see again Kanye West's last listening event, we have that eclipse right there, and this was the last eclipse date on December 4th. And if you go over to today, it is 2 months and 20 days. But here's where it gets even more incredible. If you were to take from today, the 24th of this month, and then you go over to the next eclipse on the 16th. Well, the next eclipse will be on April 30th, but if you go over to this eclipse on May 16th, which is the big one that I'm paying attention to, I've been talking about it for a while now on this channel, this gives us 2 months and 22 days, the 222 in the 222 year, 2 days after the date 222. Like, seriously, one of the most mind-blowing connections. So this eclipse in May is massive, guys. I am, without a doubt, paying attention to it. I think it's going to be one of the more significant eclipses we have until 2024 in April. That'll be a huge eclipse, but that's far enough away that we don't really need to talk about that too much. So again, this huge connection between the eclipse that I'm paying attention to, May 16th, and today, giving us 2 months and 22 days. And again, coming back to today and going to the recent eclipse we had on the 4th, and that's giving us that 2 months and 20 days. You could see that right there, the 22, and this happening 2 days after Pluto's return, the 222 date. All right. So one other thing to mention too about today is it's giving us the 14 date numerology. And this is just an added note because we know that LA Rams gave us 14 and then Ram gives us 14. And we just saw the Super Bowl LVI, which was 43 points between both the teams, the Cincinnati Bengals and the LA Rams, and 43 is the 14th prime number. And again, this 14 coming back to Ram and LA Rams, the team who won. People thought that the Bengals would win because we're in the year of the tiger, and I've been telling everyone everything that deals with the tiger is a negative aspect. Just like I showed you how today is the 24th day of Chinese New Year, and this is tying back to Russia, all right? And this is also tying back to Ukraine with that big connection to that 22. But more importantly, if we were to think about this esoterically, this is a side note, by the way. Today is the 24th day since the Lunar New Year, Chinese New Year, and Jupiter is the tiger, the striped planet, okay, Jupiter, and Jupiter's zodiac logo is the 24. And today is the 24th day since Chinese New Year. All right. This is all tied to Jupiter. And if it's tied to Jupiter, it's tied to the tiger. And if it's tied to the tiger, it's a negative aspect. Okay. We've been showing that again and again here on this channel. When I did my metaverse decode, then I did my Rams decode. I spoke about how I thought the Bengals would lose the Super Bowl at least a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks before the event happened. And then the video I put out before the event happened, I was double downing on it in my Patreon as well. And when that came out, when it finally came and went, the decode following up on it was one of my favorite decodes I've ever done, because it really started to blow my mind by the numbers, how we were seeing these huge connections. And I have never decoded sports before. I don't actually watch sports. So it was really fun for me to be able to decode it without any bias, without any emotion towards it, just to use my knowledge of the code. So let's have fun with one more last connection to Platinum Jubilee, because we are having fun with these 55s in this big connection. So pay attention to this 170, okay? So again, Platinum Jubilee, today is the 55th day of this year. And again, we're getting that 55. And if you actually measure from the 55th day and go back to, let me show you really quickly. So if we go back to Rosh Hashanah, the day before it, all right, this is what's really, really interesting. It's the 5th. So if we go to this big connection between the start of Rosh Hashanah to today, we get 170 days, and Platinum Jubilee equals 170. That is crazy how this is all tying in, even to the days. Again, Platinum Jubilee, 55 today, giving us the 55th date. And when you go from today to the start of Rosh Hashanah, the start of Shemitah, you literally have 170 days, again, tying back to the English ordinal, Platinum Jubilee equaling 170. And this is where it gets really interesting, because I brought up the periodic table, and here we have Platinum, and we have 78 and 195. So I started to play around a little bit with this. And if you go to the 78th day of the year, let me show you really quickly. So I'm going to scroll down here, and when we get to the 78th day, we're going to see we land on the 19th of March. Now, this is really amazing, because this, again, 78 tying to Platinum. It's the 78th it's the 78th element in the periodic table. And then if we tie this back to the beginning of Rosh Hashanah, the day before, that's what I meant to say a little bit earlier, we can see September 5th, that's the day before the first day of last Rosh Hashanah, we get 195 days, and the atomic mass of platinum is 195. This is all coded in. It's amazing to see it play out. So again, just a quick recap, we've been talking about Platinum Jubilee this entire time, how Platinum Jubilee gives us the 55, and today is the 55th day of this year. And if we go to the 78th day of this year, again, that'll be March 19th. The reason for that 78 is because Platinum is the 78th element in the periodic table. And then if you measure that backwards to the day before Shemitah started, you get 195 days. And again, the atomic mass of platinum is 195. Absolutely amazing how this all works. And platinum is platina. It's derived from that word, and that means little silver. And I'm just going to show you really quickly how little silver also gives us 55. All right. And another mind-blowing connection to all of this, 163, like Kanye West, Donda 2. 163.55, just like I showed you in my last decode I put out, which was like 4 days ago, and when I started today's video. What are the odds that platinum, this, when it's turned back into its Latin root and then when it's translated into little silver, we get the same code as Kanye West Donda 2, 163.55, little silver equals 163.55. And also this 163 is the 38th prime number. So there's even more connections to be made. But for the sake of this video and keeping it simple, it's absolutely amazing. So let's talk about why this date of March 19th might be important. Well, again, we made this huge connection right here. We also have this 19 date numerology and everything with that 19. Again, what changed the world 2 years ago? The C word 19. So we know this is important. This 19 does come back to Ra, in English ordinal, Ra being the sun. So we need to pay attention to this date because Platinum and Platinum Jubilee is playing a huge role this particular year. This is a once-in-a-lifetime moment, the 70th anniversary of the Queen, and we do have a banking holiday around June for the Platinum Jubilee, and we know that the entire economy is in the transition period right now. We're potentially going to be starting to see a restructure of the economy, and I think Platinum Jubilee, and as we move into the year 2023 with ISO 20022 implementation, we're going to see the groundwork being laid out in the ending of this year as we transition into 2023. It's something I've said a couple times here, but I'm really starting to do my deep dive research into it to help you guys out with anything that I can know ahead of time to prepare you. So this March 19th also will be the day after the next full moon. And we know these full moons have been bringing us bearish or negative energy. So it's something to keep in mind, guys. Keep in mind next full moon, it might be a interesting and potential big event day because of this big connection that we made here. So let's get into the technical analysis. So we could see markets definitely getting hit, but rebounding pretty nicely. I mean, this is absorption. If we were to look at the Bitcoin chart, we're seeing that the wick to the bottom side is absolutely similar to the one we got over here on January 24th. Again, is it weird that this was the 24th day of the Gregorian year 2022, and today is the 24th day of the Chinese New Year? I wonder why that's happening. Well, because it has everything to do with the tiger, which turns back to Jupiter, and Jupiter's zodiac logo is the 24. We can see that the stock market has continued to stay in the red multiple days in a row. Of course, the reasoning they're giving us is because of the conflict between Ukraine and Russia. Big reason why I started out this video today with words of wisdom and high vibrations. We need to go towards a more love-based frequency. Don't let all this stuff scare you, especially when you study the greatest investors of all time. They're investing when everyone's scared. So we need to be counter what everyone else is going through right now. Of course, if you live in Russia, you live in Ukraine, and you feel like you're going through some hardships, I brought this up in my last video as well, you need to go where you're treated best. You need to go somewhere where it's more harmonious with your vibrational frequency. That's just basic stuff, though. You should know this. But when it comes to the rest of the world, what's going on is everyone's being fed news. News. And what is news? It's north, east, west, south. The broken compass. It's designed to get you lost, to make emotional decisions that are not based on fundamentals, to make decisions that are based on the emotions, not necessarily truth. Okay? That's not me saying that there will not be war. There will absolutely be war and conflict. Why? Because we're in the age of war. We're in the age of groupthink. And when you're in the age of Pisces groupthink, it's always my team against your team. And how do we solve things in this age? With swords and guns. Of course, this is how we've been doing it for the longest now. But we, as more enlightened beings, we can't let that get to us. We can't let that steal our energy. It's important. When you focus on that kind of stuff, it steals away a lot of your vitality, and it doesn't allow you to make decisions that are based on your purpose, on your higher self's communication that you were having before this thing got into your life and separated you from the now. It's very, very easy to say, hard to practice. I understand that. But trust me on this one. When we're living through the events, if we could have that ability to tap into the now and not get caught up in distractions, that is where we find our superpowers. Because whilst everyone else around us is freaking out, we're calm. So whatever's going on right now in the market, it is what it is. We've seen this knee-jerk reaction into the DXY, of course, because we've been seeing multiple days to the downside for these markets. But typically, once these markets start to get in a drastic move to the downside, we start to see RSI get into oversold territory, especially on the stock market, and this will typically come to a conclusion sooner than later. We're already seeing an RSI read now lower than what we saw back in late January. And, in the C word times, that was pretty dramatic. It went pretty deep. That sort of black swan was very quick. We had a sharp move to the downside, V-shaped recovery. So far, we need to find some support, and the first level of support would naturally be somewhere around here. So I could just quickly show you how we could measure out on the Dow where to anticipate support. I'm going to go from the bounce to the current all-time high, and we're going to pull a bearish retrace, so a retrace in reverse, and we want to see that 1618, and you see that right there. That 1618 got within a couple points today of where we are. So again, I did a bearish pull from right here, the bounce before the all-time high, from swing low to swing high. That's the bearish retrace, and we could almost see a touch at the 1618, but this is a very big wick at the bottom for a indice, okay? This is dramatic. Drama, all right? This is drama. This isn't real, fundamental action in the market. It's been holding this sideways horizontal range for quite a while, and now we're starting to see a little bit of a breakdown. But that back test of the 1618, which we could go a little bit lower, as I showed you, maybe to 32,000 points, and that would be completely fine as long as it's holding some structure around that the high 31s. So I don't want to get too complicated into the Dow, because that's, again, stock market stuff, but it's all overall the same TA that I teach anyways. So with that being said, we do have this firmament dome that got a nice rejection again back on February 17th, and now we are seeing more like a double bottom play, and we brought this up in early February, and we had to kind of be, open-minded to how this month would go just because of it being such a ritual month. The month of February was the year of the tiger. Again, we saw what happened with Facebook Metaverse. We saw what happened around the Super Bowl and all those rituals perpetuating advertising and promotion for cryptocurrency. We saw the market go bullish into the day, or the time frame of the Super Bowl, and then we saw that bigger pullback, canceling out that V-shaped recovery that a lot of the retail was expecting. Again, I was mentioning to not anticipate a V-shaped recovery and continuation. I was anticipating us to come back into the full moon, but how deep do we go? That was the hard part, right? It's always difficult because we have Bitcoin and crypto are very volatile. And we saw that there was support holding around 40 for a hot minute. Then we broke down to the key level of the 236. And today might be one of those dramatic days where we typically see on the lows. So if I was to close this out, you can see that the most dramatic days with the bigger wicks, we get relief. The same thing was happening around here into July. And if we were to consider this whole structure here, we have the eclipse back in May with a huge washout. So we had an eclipse back in December, washout. Then we have a double bottom on June, double bottom on June and July, full moons. And then we have the double bottom on the January, February full moons. So what came after that? This. Now, I'm not saying with 100% certainty this is the bounce we're going to get, but this would be sort of what I anticipate for the month of March, all right? Not the whole time going up in a straight line, like no one knows with 100% certainty, but that's more the play to anticipate. So this would be really interesting if we get a similar move where we have the eclipse washout, back-to-back double bottom on the full moon, and then by the third month following that, we have recovery or a relief rally to the upside. So we have eclipse, we have double bottom, potentially. We'll know a double bottom 100% once we get above 45,000 again. I'll just call it, like, if we can get above the last high close, which was 44.6, then this W pattern will break out. So we could see the W here is pretty clear. We have this right there and that neckline sitting right there. So that would be insane. That's a very dramatic W because it's a very long-term time horizon and a lot of price between the highs and the lows. So this is just a range, all right? It's a range. And we need to look at everything based off the closure, not the wicks. The wicks are just volatile washouts. And we could even see lately, since the start of Shemitah, the stock market has been super volatile, like almost looking like crypto. But again, anyone who's been following my work now for at least the last, 4 or 5 months, you've known about how this Shemitah was going to play into this year of 2022, transitioning into 2023. So what to say about support today? Well, it would be best if we remain at least above this 36K level. I mean, that would be the high close back on January 23rd and around where this little pivot happened on the 21st and 22nd, somewhere around 36,400. That's a lot to ask for at this time, but we're getting pretty close to the end of this month. This month has been a lot more bearish than it should have been. And again, they're hitting us with this geopolitical news. It's scaring retail out of the market, and that's kind of a good thing. This sort of stuff creates a market reset. So I would assume by now we're going to start seeing Bitcoin's RSI approaching oversold again. And as it gets to these levels, yeah, we're definitely starting to see, 32 RSI, 33 RSI. It's time for this to have some bounce, and this interaction with the firmament will be interesting. When we get a little bit of relief, I'm definitely wondering how this interaction is going to be, because it could be something like this, where we have a bounce, we come down to the outside of the firmament, and then get towards that golden pocket area where we have a bull trap. That's still in the cards for me by the month of April, sometime before May. Or I'll just say before the April 30th eclipse, which puts us any time around like here, sometime to get up into that range of 50 to 57 by late April, the latest, just because of that eclipse. And we know what that eclipse in May did to us last year, and we know what the eclipse did to us in December this year. It's a reversal or pivot point, and we need to pay attention to that. So for right now, holding support at these levels, not trading lower on closures below 35, holding this, getting above the 236 would be ideal, and then I would start to look for a little bit of bullish continuation once we're back above 40K. In the meantime, we're just ranging on the lows. So Ethereum, same look as Bitcoin. Again, these are all following in tandem. We could see somewhat of a double bottom structure. We could see a clear back test right here of the 236. That's really nice. I actually appreciate seeing that because that's a technical bounce, and a big wick on the bottom tells us there's absorption, and this could be potentially the bottom. And again, it could take some days to get out, but we've seen ETH before. Once it hits these bottoms on these Ws, look at that. Boom. Just blast off. So this W right here, tell me this doesn't look similar, right? It looks very, very similar, even in the amount of days between how this whole thing shaked out. So if we go from like this middle wick over to when we got about the same price, we're looking at about 23 days. And if we were to do that right here, again, this is all theoretical, 23 days puts us around March 6th. So March 6th from today would be like, that would be 10 days from now, getting back up to around $3,200 for ETH. And if that would be a similar time move if we were to consider the fractal. Again, I'm not huge on fractal analysis, but it could be something to consider because crypto is so pre-programmed on algorithms. We know that by now. So for ETH, same story. Holding this 236 right here at around 2,300 would definitely be ideal. And then also having somewhat of closures above 2,640 would be really good, showing us the second V in the W breakout. to be more bullish, because when the first V is lower and the second V has a higher low, that's a much more bullish breakout. That shows structure because it's an uptrend, but we can't really, throw a party until we get above those daily closures at 3,200. So let's move on to XRP. All right, XRP, same story. It's actually holding up a little better than some of the other coins that are really, really taking a hit. We could see that this white trend line is still being amazingly playing out over and over and over again, but we could not hold that 786. Once we couldn't hold that 786, we dumped down to 62, and that's right there, that cluster of trading days that was like ironclad support for XRP. Around 2 weeks straight, it did not want to move off those levels, so this is really great to see. And also, again, it would look like a bigger W pattern potentially in the making. We just have to see how this all works out. RSI isn't even as low as what we saw on Bitcoin. So this is definitely looking a little bit better. Again, this stock market continuing to be down 500, 600 points every single day on the Dow Jones, that's not going to be healthy. So we need some relief overall in this stock market. We need the stock market to like chill out. And that would be obviously helpful moving into the month of March. The month of March is going to be interesting because Mar comes back to Mars, and that's Aries. That's the god of war. All right. So interesting, because we know whenever the markets get the sentiment of fear, it's always right before the market takes a reverse to the other direction. So I'm not telling anyone to get caught up in all these words and all of the, that sort of outlook, because it's really been too much dramatic downside price action, and something's got to give. Something's got to give. This market can't just continually, perpetually fall in this condition without no relief bounces along the way. There's always relief bounces along the way. We could look at the charts going back for a while now, and we could see that's proven. So this is coiling up. We've seen XRP coiling up for a while now. Holding support on the daily closes above 63 cents would be ideal, because that's the cluster of closes back there. And then obviously getting above the 786 would be ideal on the upside. It would show that there's some strength and that this washout was just a quick little leverage washout, holding support. But until we're getting the daily closes above 85 cents, we're pretty much ranging. So getting daily closes above 86 cents would be super ideal for XRP, and then I would anticipate it moves up to $1. But for right now, it's literally almost in the center of its range. So we just have to kind of chill and wait for that to come to fruition. In the meantime, we're definitely seeing something weird where precious metals are green whilst the dollar is green. That's very awkward. Usually we see when the dollar's up by 1%, which is super rare, by the way. We don't normally see the DXY up a full percent. We typically see the precious metals getting smashed. So money liquidity is rotating right now a little bit into precious metals because of the scare of war. When we see fear, we typically see people want to go the safer route, and the safest place, according to the the institutional investor and banks and all these other multi-billionaires, is the US dollar. And besides the US dollar, it would be silver and gold. This is just the way it works when there's real fear in the market. And it's surprising that crypto actually isn't even getting hit as hard as it should be, based on this type of news. Usually you'd see crypto really getting smashed, but Bitcoin's only down $1,000 from yesterday. So it's interesting to see how this is all playing out. This is definitely spooky, and that type of spook, it will get retail shaken out. And we are in a retail market still at this time. It's obvious when you're seeing these altcoins that have barely any market cap down 20% in a single day. It's pretty obvious by now that they're getting shaken out. So anyways, with that being said, I am looking for some relief over the next couple days. I would definitely like to see these levels being held. Perhaps things get slightly positive over the next couple days. Today was the negative day because of everything having to deal with this 24 connection back to Jupiter and that connection to Russia with the 24 that I showed you a little bit earlier. All of this tying into Platinum Jubilee and the Shemitah year. And one last thing, just a reminder, like I said earlier, I do have the sale going on both of my courses, so I'll put that information down in the description box and in the pinned comment below. My website is watersabove crypto.com/redpill2022, and the promo code is not needed. The discount will already be added to the price at checkout. So I will also be adding my exit strategy blueprint into the first week of March. I'm really excited to share that. It'll be about 15 videos or so giving a detailed breakdown of my entire exit strategy, how I'm going to be implementing my own personal exits, and teaching you guys how you can do it on the coins that you hold. We're going to be going over 5 different altcoins, and then on top of that, it'll be Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP for a total of 8 different exit strategy videos, full comprehensive breakdowns with the technical analysis and explaining exactly how I'm planning to exit this market leading up into the middle to end of this year. So I appreciate every single one of you. I will be making a video before the end of this month, most likely the last day of the month will be the last day of that sale, just to give another reminder. So for those of you that have been waiting for that sale, it's finally here, and I appreciate all of you. Much love.